Nuke option on Gulf oil spill? United States says, no way. The chatter began weeks ago as armchair engineers brainstormed for ways to stop the torrent of oil spilling into the Gulf of Mexico. What about nuking the whale? Decades ago, the Soviet Union reportedly used nuclear blasts to successfully seal off runaway gas wells, inserting a bomb deep underground and letting its fiery heat melt the surrounding rock to shut off the flow. So, why not try it here? The idea has gained fans, with each failed attempt to stem the leak and each new setback. On Wednesday, the latest rescue effort stalled when a wire saw being used to cut through the riser pipe got stuck, and on Thursday, they were still cutting and sawing away. Probably the only thing we can do is create a weapon system and send it down 18,000 feet and detonate it, hopefully encasing the oil. Matt Simmons, the Houston energy expert and investment banker, told Bloomberg News. Or, as a CNN reporter, John Roberts, suggested last week, drill a hole, drop a nuke in, and seal up the whale. This week, with the failure of the top kill attempt, the buzz had grown loud enough that federal officials felt compelled to respond. Stephanie Mueller, a spokeswoman for the Energy Department, said that neither Energy Secretary Stephen Chu nor anyone else was thinking about a nuclear blast under the Gulf. The nuclear option was not and never had been on the table, federal officials said. It's crazy, one senior official added. Government and private nuclear experts agreed that using a nuclear bomb would be not only risky, technically, with unknown and possibly disastrous consequences from radiation, but also unwise geopolitically. It would violate arms treaties that the United States has signed and championed over the decades, and do so at a time when President Obama is pushing for global nuclear disarmament. The atomic option is perhaps the wildest among a flood of ideas proposed by bloggers, scientists, and other creative types who have deluged government agencies and BP, the company that drilled the whale, with phone calls and email messages. The unified command overseeing the Deepwater Horizon disaster features a suggestions button on its official website, and more than 7,800 people have already responded, according to the site. Among these suggestions, lowering giant plastic pillows to the seafloor and filling them with oil, dropping a huge block of concrete to squeeze off the flow, and using magnetic clamps to attach pipes that would siphon off the leaking oil. Some have also suggested conventional explosives, claiming that oil prospectors on land have used such blasts to put out fires and seal boreholes, but oil engineers say that dynamite or other conventional explosives risk totally destroying the wellhead so that the flow could never be plugged from the top. And here's another suggestion. Perhaps they shouldn't be drilling for oil so deep out in the ocean, because it's like drilling on another planet. In theory, the nuclear option seems attractive because the extreme heat might create a tough seal. An exploding atom bomb generates temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun, and, detonated underground, can turn acres of porous rock into a glassy plug, much like a huge stopper in a leaky bottle. A mechanical engineer at the University of Texas, Austin, wrote to .earth, a New York Times blog, in early May, that he had surprised himself by considering what once seemed unthinkable. Seafloor nuclear detonation, he wrote, is starting to sound surprisingly feasible and appropriate. Much of the enthusiasm for an atomic approach is based on reports that the Soviet Union succeeded in using nuclear blasts to seal off gas wells. Whatever the technical merits of using nuclear explosions for constructive purposes, the end of the Cold War brought wide agreement among nations to give up the conduct of all nuclear blasts, even for peaceful purposes. The United States, after conducting more than 1,000 nuclear test explosions, detonated the last one in 1992, shaking the ground at the Nevada test site. In 1996, the United States championed the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, a global accord meant to end the development of new kinds of nuclear arms. President Obama is pushing for new global rules, treaties, and alliances that he insists can go much further to produce a nuclear-free world sometime in the future. For his administration to seize on a nuclear solution for the Gulf crisis, officials say, would abandon its international agenda and responsibilities and give rogue states an excuse to seek nuclear strides or nuclear bombs, as if they don't have enough excuses already. Kevin Rourke, a spokesman for Los Alamos in New Mexico, the birthplace of the atomic bomb, said that despite rumors to the contrary, none of the laboratory's thousands of experts was devising nuclear options for the Gulf. Nothing of the sort is going on here, he said in an interview. In fact, we're not working on any intervention ideas at all. We're providing diagnostics and other support, but nothing on the intervention side. Another senior Los Alamos scientist ridiculed the idea of using a nuclear blast to solve the crisis in the Gulf. Technically, it would be exploring new ground in the midst of a disaster, and you might make it worse. And BP is already doing that in some kind of way, making it worse day by day. Not everyone on the internet is calling for nuking the whale. Some are even making jokes. What's worse than an oil spill? Asked a blogger on Full Comment, a blog of the National Post in Toronto. A radioactive oil spill. And yes, everything is connected and everything is numbered. Somehow, these are all connected to one another. And there's something much bigger going on here. Revelation chapter 16, verse 3. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man. And every living soul died in the sea. 4. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became like blood. 5. And I heard the angel of the waters say, Thou art righteous, O Lord, which are, and was, and shall be, because thou hast judged thus. 6. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. 7. And I heard another out of the altar say, Even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments. 8. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with burning fire. 9. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which has power over these plagues. And they repented not to give him glory. 10. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. 11. And blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. And yes, again, everything is connected. And these are more signs happening daily all around the world.